Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio on this amazing Monday, December 9th. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 74 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network every single day, Monday through Friday. Join us in our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community, and never miss an episode by subscribing wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, the Himalaya app, and the Google Play Music app. And now we are available on Pandora. Wherever you listen to podcasts, I ask that you subscribe and leave us a rating and review to let us know how we're doing. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, and other amazing people who are impacting the world around them. And my guest today has been doing that her whole life. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my guest and my friend, Suzy Prudden. Suzy, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I am excited to have you on the show today. I've wanted to get you on for a very long time, ever since we first met, like a year or something ago, 2 years ago maybe. And you blew me away along with everybody else at the New Media Summit event in San Diego, when you get on stage and you're doing you got the music playing, and it's like left arm, right, and people can't even keep up with you. And I'm not a young dude, but like, I mean, it's even hard for me to keep up. Like, where does she get this energy? It is amazing. And so I loved everything that you brought to the event, to the stage, and you are just one of a kind.
Well, thank you. I had fun, and I've been doing that particular, Eric Lofholm calls it a script. I've been doing that particular thing with the audience, getting them moving and getting them back in their bodies after they've been listening to lectures all day long, since 1983.
Wow.
That's when I started doing that. And my mother, who was a fitness expert as well, was doing that before me. But that's a way to get, when you get the room moving after people have been sitting for 6-7 hours listening to lectures and stuff, you get them back in their bodies and get them thinking clearly again, which is why I do that. And it's fun. That's
amazing. And I know just the conversations that people had just in my the era that I was seeing, people were like, this is so amazing. It's something that they've never seen. You go to an event, you have a bunch of speakers, and okay, have fun. Like we're done now, Like, but when you come
and you walk
in,
out exhausted.
Yes.
You really walk out exhausted, and it's not necessary. You don't have to leave a seminar dragging. You should leave energized, filled with new information, excited about whatever the next thing is that you're going to do, instead of saying, God, I just got to go to bed.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. So the title of this episode is Change Your Mind, Change Your Body with speaker and author Suzy Prudden. She is a prize-winning international speaker, workshop, and seminar leader, a New York Times bestselling author way before the internet was even a thing, master hypnotherapist, fitness expert, body-mind pioneer, success coach, and a TV host and publisher. Suzy Prudden has been featured on Oprah, who said, in order to heal your relationship with your body, you have to go inside. The answers are all in Suzy Prudden's book, Change Your Mind, Change Your Body. Suzy is the voice of Suzy is the voice for New Reality, an online creative visualization company where she has created over 300 processes from weight loss to wealth creation. Author of 12 books, including the best-selling Suzy Prudden's Spot Reducing Program, as well as MetaFitness, Your Thoughts Taking Shape, Change Your Mind, Change Your Body, and more. Winner of the Women in Business 1994 to 1995 Most Inspirational Speaker Award and the International Federation of Hypnotists 2001 Award for Excellence for Integrated Therapies and 2006 Lifetime Achievement Award. She's been a guest expert on over 1,000 radio and television shows, including Oprah, The Today Show, and Good Morning America. She co-founded and is president of Itty Publishing, Legacy Press Books, and Little Dog Press. Suzy's companies have created over 65 bestsellers within 3 years and helped her authors move their companies into high six-figure businesses. Her website is ittybittypublishing.com. It's right there in the show notes. Facebook and LinkedIn, her links are right there. Click on those, send her a friend request, let her know, send her a message, let her know that you heard her on Life Transformation Radio. Suzy, with all that said, I'm dying to know, what is your why? Why do you do what you do?
Oh, my God. Why do I do this? Sean, I don't know. You know, people keep asking me that question, and I honestly don't have an answer. It isn't about why, it's just about do. I could make something up and make it sound quite profound and like it's just I do what I do. I've always just done what I do. I make something up and I do it. And then I make something else up and I do it. It's there is no profound why. And when you asked me that, when you told me that earlier this morning, you said, we're going to ask you your why. I'm thinking, okay, so now what do I say? Because people expect people like me who are out there doing what we do all the time to have some profound reason for it, and I honestly don't. I make something up. It seems like an interesting thing to do, and I do it. And then it's successful, and I do it for a while, and then I get tired of it, and so I make something else up and do that. It's kind of, you know, life is a smorgasbord, and I'm at the table, I guess, tasting everything. That may be my why. I just want to experience as much as I can while I'm here.
I love it. It's very simple. I absolutely love it.
Well, it's my why. It's like, okay,
yeah.
It's like, okay, it's morning. What am I going to do today? When I was a little girl, I was very, very blessed. I was able to spend my summers with my grandparents in Vermont on a lake. And I come from a very well-off family, which is unusual for a speaker to say. Usually speakers say they've lived under a cabbage patch or they grew up under a house or something, right. and they suffered through their childhood, etc. I didn't. I had one of those really miraculous childhoods. And I remember we had to be downstairs by 9 o'clock. That was the rule of the house. You had to be downstairs by 9 o'clock. And because William, who took care of, who was the houseman, had to start working in the house after he made us breakfast. I mean, I was a very privileged kid, and I remember I could have anything I want for breakfast. And so he would make me my breakfast after he asked me what I wanted, and I'd finish my breakfast, and I would go outdoors, and I remember the flagstone porch was warm already from the sun. I was barefoot, and I had the whole day in front of me to do whatever I wanted to do. And I would get down. I would walk across the flagstone porch and down the flagstone steps, and then hit the grass with my bare feet. And it was cool, and I could do anything. And I think that's how I look at life. I can do anything. What do I want to do today? So I've made up several businesses, and I've made a difference in a lot of people's lives just by making up anything.
I love it. I feel like there's a lot of hope for me based on what you just said, because I usually do something for about 3 to 4 years, and then I either sell it off or I just close it or something. I always do something about 3 or 4 years because I get bored with it. My favorite part is creating. What can I do? What can I – and I just literally had an epiphany over the weekend, and I've been talking to a lot of people who want to get into the speaker business. I don't know how to do it. I really want to get into it. And so, we have programs about launching and this and that. And I said, wouldn't it be cool to own my first space, like my first business, my first podcast, my first book, my first whatever, and just eat up all the domains, and you are literally the category designer of my first whatever it is. And your business could be called My First Whatever. And these are the epiphanies that I have in my head. Like, it just never stops.
That's great.
So there's a lot of hope because you sound like the same person. You want to create things. You want to get them going. It drives you. And then you're like, did it. Now what's next? What's next for me?
What's next?
And you just keep on doing it. Yep. I love that.
And it keeps life extremely interesting. And keeps me on my toes, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to start a business, you can't just wake up. Well, you can. I do it all the time. Wake up and say, gee, I think I'll start this business now. And then do it. A lot of people put a lot of effort the wrong way. It's like, I'll tell you a wonderful story. In the 90s, I had an opportunity to go to Bali. So I decided to start a Bali business. And I was going to go to Bali, and I was going to buy a whole bunch of stuff, bring it back, and sell it here in the States. And so I did. And people gave me money, and which blew me away. And I went to Bali. I bought a whole bunch of stuff. I brought it back. I sold it. And I decided that I loved the shopping, loved it. And I loved the selling. I love selling. But I hated the schlepping, going from one place to the next place to sell it. And I didn't want to have a shop. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it. And I said, yeah, it was a wonderful adventure. I loved every minute of it. I stayed with friends. I was there for 3 weeks. And she said, but what kind of research did you do? I said, I didn't do any research. I just went. And she said, it was funny. She said, I've been wanting to do that for 10 years, and I've been researching it for 10 years. And you just did it. I know. And I said, yeah, because if I had been researched it for 10 years, I would have never done it. And some people say, well, how can you do that? And I don't know. I just do it.
I'm like the same way. I give myself a deadline because I am that person who will continue researching. Just, I don't know if it's because I need to know all the information. I don't like to do anything halfway. I'm either all in or I'm not in at all. I'm 100%. And I feel like if I don't research the pitfalls or plan for failure or anything else, that I'm going in blind and I have nothing to go on. So my problem is that I will do that and I'll research for like ever, but now I know I have to set a deadline. So like when I started this show, I started researching in November. I said, okay, I'm going to give myself like 2 months. I'll research it in November, December, and I'll launch in January. I ended up launching in February because some of the processes weren't working. But once I was like, it's this date, it's this. I set a deadline, and so I have something to work towards. I always have to have something to work towards. And otherwise, I'm that person. I'm researching on end all day, every day, not taking action on it.
My motto is action. I mean that's
okay.
it. That's where I start. If I'm stuck, and I do get stuck, I said, okay, do something, take action, make a phone call, anything, but get out of stuck. And so my middle name is Action, and it served me very, very well. I've started many businesses. I've had a lot of success. And I've had extraordinary failure, incredible failure.
How so?
Well,
when you say extraordinary failure, I'm like, there's got to be a story there.
I don't do anything halfway. So, all right, I've been in business since 1965. I've had incredible successes. And yes, I've had a New York Times bestseller from before the internet, and I've had my own TV show on NBC in New York. I was a fitness reporter for the Today Show in New York, and in 1989 I did the Oprah show. I was a featured guest on the Oprah for my book MetaFitness, and Your Thoughts Taking Shape, which was published by Hay House. 8 months later, 8 months later, I was homeless. And people kind of, exactly. And it was my fault. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't know how to handle my life at the time. It was my fault.
Uh-huh.
And so that was an amazing failure. And yet from that, I learned a great deal. I don't think that failure is a bad thing. I think it's a scary thing. I mean, I certainly was very, very frightened during that time. When I didn't have a place to call home, I was very blessed because it's funny. Here I am. I have no home. My stuff is all in storage. I'm not making any money at the time. I didn't know how to handle that aspect, that time of my life. But at the same time, because I had just gotten off the road, having publicized a book for 6 weeks, and having a huge reputation in the fitness world, I was invited to speak at all these different places. So I was never without a place to stay. For example, the first week that I was without a home, I was living at Rancho La Puerta teaching as a 5-star spa in Tecate, Mexico. And I spent 10 months doing that, going from place to place teaching, not having a stable home, but at the same time, I wasn't on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, to end up having lost everything, and I did it to myself, nobody did it to me, was a tremendous failure and very shaming. So I've had huge failure, and I've also had huge success.
I love it.
And
I love it.
And well, during it wasn't. It was rather,
right. Like in the middle, you're like, this sucks. Like this sucks.
Is really scary. Yeah.
Like
I mean, I would wake up in a cold sweat at night. I mean, terrified. How am I going to make it? How am I going to pay the bills? And at the same time, being without a home is very freeing because you don't have that many bills. I had a phone card, I had a car, but I didn't have all the other stuff that a lot of people carry with them. Life is expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I've heard it said that you haven't learned anything in business until you've cycled a couple times. And what I've heard that mean is that you have to cycle. You're at the top, and then you lose everything, and you start at zero. And then you build it up again to 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, whatever, and then you lose it all again. Like, you haven't learned anything unless you've cycled a couple times. And I never really knew what that meant.
Well, I've learned
a lot. Right. Yeah, I never really knew what that meant until I lost one of my businesses. I had some partners. You have business partners, and everything's cool because it's your friends, and we all have contracts together or whatever. And we always put an exit clause in there. And in one of the businesses that I built, I had developed an alcohol problem, and I was using the business as my own personal dating service. And it was a mess. I was a mess. And I got caught up in success. I got caught up, and I was making, almost I was on the verge of clipping 7 figures, and they bought me out. They're like, "You're done. Like, we don't want you a part of this. We're going to buy out your stake." And, like, here you go. Here's, and they gave me money, and then they were like, get the hell out of here. And that was humbling. That was very humbling. Yep.
Yes. When I realized that I had lost it all, that it's unbelievably humbling. And for me, it was so shaming because I had been so successful and so quote unquote important, and important in the fitness industry, important in the television world, and all that. And it doesn't mean anything. That's why when people say, "What's your why?" I haven't got the vaguest idea what it is. I just get up and keep going.
Right? You do what you love, though. That's what I mean. Really,
yes.
I always, whenever we talked in person, we were just in LA, and we sit down and talk, and I just love what I'm doing. I'm having so much fun. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, in any part of your life, if you're not doing what's fun, and you're just going through the motions just to pay bills or whatever, it just, man, I cannot imagine living life that way. When I'm speaking or I'm working with people doing this show, I'm having a blast. And I take the bad stuff, you got to pay taxes, and you got to do all this other stuff, and there's long flights, and all that stuff's just kind of rolled into it. And if it wasn't fun and it wasn't a blast and I wasn't learning a whole bunch and having fun, I wouldn't do it. But people do.
Right.
People just do things that just suck the life out of them.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. And I'm blessed because when I say I'm not afraid, some stuff scares me, but it's like, oh, okay, what am I going to do today? I have a new business. It's now 5 years old. And it happened. It happened as a fluke almost. I was getting tired of coaching. As a hypnotherapist and a coach, I've been coaching since the 80s. I've been a hypnotherapist since the 90s. Now, in 2014, I was getting very tired of listening to the same stuff. It's like, yes, but I don't want to make phone calls. Well, then don't go into business. I mean, I was coaching
You're at the end of your patience.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like, stop it. When you and I were at Katrina's at her seminar, it was so funny when she kept saying, "Just stop it, just stop it."
Stop it. Yep.
I have to blow my nose. Excuse me. I have a cold.
Funny.
So it was 2014, and my sister and I, we had been in the weight loss industry, and we had written a book. James Malinchek, who is a speaker and a coach, and does seminars, had suggested, this is in 2006, that everybody there writes small books, and I've always written big books, so I thought, okay, I'll write an itty bitty weight loss book, Suzy Prudden's itty bitty weight loss book, and we didn't know my sister and I didn't know what we were doing, and but she designed the cover, which was not a very attractive cover. She's very good at it now, but then she wasn't. And we bought the obligatory 2,000 copies, I think I have 1,800 left in my garage, and yeah, it's a long time to keep
Wow.
books. I can't even give them away. So I said, would you change the cover? Because she had learned basically how to do the back end of publishing by then. And this is 2014. Would you change the cover and make it a smaller book? So she did. And she came to visit me during the holidays that year, showed me what she had done, and as I'm looking at it, I realized she'd taken my name off. Now, you have to understand that I started a business in 1965. My name's been on everything.
Right.
And because I was the big important person, and all of a sudden she took my name off. And I'm looking at it, and I'm having a moment, an ego moment. And I said, "Are you sure you want to take my name off?" And she said, "I don't care." And as I looked at the book, I realized, I said, "Petey," that's what I call her. That's $1 million business. We don't have to write all the books. And we were in business 4 days later with Itty Bitty Publishing. And I'd never done a publishing company. I'd never even thought of doing a publishing company. So now 4 days later, we have a publishing company, S&P Productions. 2 weeks later, we have our first contract. 6 weeks later, we've published our first book. And we've done about 80 books now. We have 65 bestsellers. And we just keep making up new stuff.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Would you say that moment where we got to write an itty-bitty book and it was just going to be our thing, but then it turned into like this massive thing, would you say that that's been the catalyst? You said you've been in business since the 60s and 70s. Has it been that way the whole time? Or what would you say is – okay, perfect. It's all about – so the show's all about transformation. And people go through these transformative moments. You know, we're at the top of our game, we lose everything, and then we do this one thing, and then all of a sudden, you know, we ride off into the sunset, and you know, people become, you know, they get over an addiction. They're suicidal at one point. They've overcome cancer. You know, these big moments, and sometimes it happens that way. Where our life is living one way, and all of a sudden we get pulled in a complete 90 degree. And we go way over here, and then that's kind of just how our life goes.
Yeah, life is a continual transformation, if you're lucky.
I think so.
You know, some people don't have that in them to be able to let go and live, so to speak. It's like, but if I let go, what's going to happen? Well, who knows? Why don't you find out?
Yeah.
It's an adventure. It's not. A lot of people are seriously afraid of letting go. What will happen to me if I let go of this thing that I know and do something that I don't know? It's like me going off to Bali. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was lucky I had friends there, stayed with my friends, created a business, decided I didn't like it after I got back, so I created something else. Life is a continuous creation, and if you're lucky, you allow yourself to have that experience.
Oh, okay. I like that a lot. So you say we sometimes don't allow us to experience the moment?
A lot of people are afraid to. If I let go of what I know, if I let go of what I know, you know, I might fall off the earth. Who knows? I don't know what people are afraid of because I don't have that. It's like, well, that sounds like an interesting thing to do. Why don't I check that out? And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, you go back to the drawing board. But for me, my life is an adventure. I got this one opportunity to make a difference in the world, which is part of my MO, to work with people to take them to another level, and it's all and I get to make it up. A lot of people don't realize that they're making their life up as they go along. There's some people who play by the rules, but who made up the rules in the first place?
Oh my gosh, that's a huge thing with me. Everybody's talking about success, and I'm gonna make $1 million, and then I'll be successful. I'm gonna do this, or I'll be successful, win this, and that. Like who says, like there's a podcast that I was like, oh, this is a great podcast. I wonder if I could be a guest on that. So I emailed the guy and I said, hey man, I'd love to be on your show. This is kind of what I do, and I'd like to have you on my show. We could just kind of trade guest appearances. He goes, what's your social media following? Like my, I don't know, 25,000, I guess. He's like, okay, well, our qualifier is 50,000. Come back to us when you have 50,000. I'm like, nah. I told him, this is the message I sent him. I said, yeah, no thanks. If your qualifier is only 50K, then I know that you're a vanity metric guy, and I don't want to be on your show. Thanks anyways. And then, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I'm like, that's a vanity metric, dude. I can buy followers. That doesn't mean that I'm making money or I'm successful. You're telling me that I have to have 50,000 followers on my social media profiles. I can buy those. You can buy followers. You can buy likes. To me, it's a vanity metric. I said, why at 50,000 am I somehow more successful when I have 50,000 followers as opposed to 25,000 followers? How does inside of that extra 25,000, how have I somehow become more successful? So
right.
It's stuff like I just don't get it. I've had people on my show that have like maybe 1,100 friends on their Facebook and maybe 1,000 on LinkedIn who are absolutely crushing it for millions of dollars in their business because they don't care about social media. They care about the people that they come in contact with, and they're high-profile speakers and they're business owners. And I've had people that have virtually no followers on social, but their email list is 200,000 people because they're just not a big social person. They have someone managing it. So
yeah, I'm not a big social person. I've got too much to do. I have somebody else.
That's what I said.
Yep. I've got much to.
Yep.
I mean, I'm running a publishing company. I do coaching. I travel. Yep. I speak all over the country. I'm happily going to Amsterdam in the fall to speak.
Oh, very cool.
And I love Amsterdam. I love Holland.
I've been there one time. Yeah, early 2000s. I was there with the military, and it was amazing.
It's a wonderful. Holland is a wonderful country, but I love Europe. I went to school in Europe. I mean, I've done a lot, and that's what life is for. It's for, okay, that sounds like a good idea. Let's try that one out. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let's try that one out. And sometimes it doesn't work, and again, it's like, oops, that was a mistake, and then you figure out something else.
Right, but according to this guy, if you don't have 50,000 followers, I guess you're not successful then.
That's kind of limiting.
Right? So
yeah,
this whole notion that, well, I'll be successful when, or I'll be happy when you said what you said about people don't experience the moment, or they're afraid to, or, well, who comes up with the rules? Oh my gosh. And the more I think about it, the more I just shake my head. I'm like, that is so right. It is so spot on.
Well, life is for living, and for me, life is for, okay, it's like, how can I make the most of this day? I have this day. How can I make the most of it? And it's not about waiting for permission. A lot of people wait for permission. With my company, with Itty Bitty Publishing, I have a lot of authors who are experts in their field, and I say to them, you are an expert in your field. Why don't you teach people to do what you do? Since there's only one of you, then you can create mini yous. So there's lots of yous around the world teaching what you teach. And why don't you create a certification program teaching people what you do, certify them, and have them do what you do around the world and become the Pilates of your industry.
Yep.
And they say, well, this is funny, Sean. They'll say, but how do I become certified to certify?
You already are.
Thinking, well, yes, I know that, and you know that. So I'll say to them, well, you do know what you're doing, right? Yes. And it is your program. Yes. So teach people how to do what you do and certify them in your program. Yes, but I'm not certified to certify. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll certify you to certify. And
the
so I made up a
Suzy Prudden certification.
It's the certification to certify. I mean, it's like I'm like, excuse me? You think you have to be who made up the first certification? Somebody who made up the first certification. They just made it up.
Yep.
And they made a lot of money because of it. And so that's how I think. And it's exciting and it's fun.
I love it. It's like John Maxwell. That's what John Maxwell does.
Yes.
Yep. You pay $5,000 to go be a John Maxwell speaker, and then they teach you their programs. They teach you how to teach their programs, and then it is your job to go into different companies and different organizations to teach those companies and organizations about John Maxwell's programs, then sell those companies into the licensing of those programs so that there's a recurring income, for the John Maxwell program. So you train, you sell, and then, so I totally get that model. The last question I have before we start to close the show, how are you elevating the world around you, your sphere of influence? You have Itty Bitty Publishing, which you take a couple authors, put them into a book, and the one, I'd like you to tell people about the one that you recently did, which is brilliant, about words.
Oh, God, that was the funniest idea I've ever had. Okay, so with Itty Bitty Publishing, what we do is we work with experts to help them take their expertise into the world. And we're like the new Dummies. The difference between Itty Bitty and Dummies, Itty Bitty is a publishing company, publishes books that are, let me rephrase that. Dummy books are 350 pages you have to read with a yellow highlighter.
Yep.
And Itty Bitty books are the yellow highlights. 95% of Americans don't read anymore, period.
Yep.
After high school, that's about it, or college, that's about it. They don't read. So what Itty Bitty Books does is every book is 15 chapters. Every chapter is 2 pages, and the author creates a relationship with the reader, so the reader wants more information, going to their website, going to what they have online, and their workshops and seminars, so that the author is literally creating a community of readers that want more information. So I had the Itty Bitty books. Then some people don't want to do a whole book, like they only want to do one chapter.
Right.
And so we have a compilation book. We have 15 experts in a book. And then I thought, well, why don't I create a quote book, and people can give us their quotes. So people were doing that. And then I thought, I was talking to a friend, and I thought, why don't I just sell words? And it was half a joke, but it wasn't a joke. And so I started selling words. I said, give me your favorite word, give me the definition, and then we expanded on it, and we said, now add to it, give me a photograph of you and a 60-word bio. And we have 270, we just published, it just came out last month, 270 words, 270 people are in this book. There are 270 people marketing this book. They're marketing each other. And it's just a word. And we're going to do another one now. It was the hardest thing we've ever done. It took 2 years. But it's amazing because with one word, people have positioned themselves literally as an Amazon bestseller. It went to Amazon bestseller before it was even printed. It was still in a Kindle version. And so all of these people, 270 of them, are in a book of one word. Just give me one word, your favorite word. My favorite word in the book is synchro-buttonicity. And what is that word? Well, it's a made-up word. Synchro-buttonicity is a synchronistic butt call that you make when you need to talk to somebody, but you keep forgetting to call them, so your butt calls them, and all of a sudden you're on the phone with the person you needed to talk to. Synchro-buttonicity. And the people... Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
And we've had people make up words. My favorite word is temerity. It means unbounded self-confidence. And
amazing.
I think I have that, and that's who I am.
For sure.
And my other favorite word is fame. And my definition of fame is the opportunity to use your position in the world to make a bigger difference.
Oh, I love that. In the remaining 3 minutes that we have left for the show, if someone wants to have an itty bitty book and wants to be a part of that, how would they do that?
Contact me at www.itty, publishing.com, ittybittypublishing.com. And there's a place there where you can fill in your name and say, call me. I want to talk to you about doing a book, either a itty-bitty book, a legacy press book. That's a memoir company that we have. We have a children's line. That's Little Dog Press. We have a cookbook line. And I don't know. Give me an idea, and I'll make up another publishing company.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I don't doubt it. That's amazing. So, for those listening, if you want to be a part of what Suzy's doing with Itty Bitty Books and Itty Bitty Publishing, right there in the show notes, here is the website, ittybittypublishing.com. Suzy, as we close the show, what is one takeaway that you want the listeners to know and understand? If they don't listen to anything else you've said today, what is the one takeaway for this show?
Don't let anything stop you.
It's pretty simple.
It's very simple. I mean, life throws you all kinds of curves. And just get up, keep going, and if you fall down, get back up again. Failure is the greatest opportunity to learn something that you will ever get, and it's not easy, but it certainly does give you an opportunity to become more of who you are.
I love that. So good. Suzy, this has absolutely been amazing, and I am honored to have you on the show. I've just been overjoyed every time I get to speak to you and hear about the amazing things that you're doing in life. I'm just excited for what you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around her. If anything has resonated with you in our conversation today with Suzy Prudden, contact her on Facebook or LinkedIn. Send her a message. Send her an email. Go to ittybittypublishing.com. Connect with her and let her know that you heard her episode of Life Transformation Radio. And with that, I close the show by saying live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.